The long, dark corridor Logan was walking down suddenly ended, and a door opened before him. A bright flash of light caused him to squeeze his eyes shut, and the man regained consciousness. He tried to open his eyes, but could hardly do so. Gradually, his ears began to catch the separate sounds, among which Logan recognized a familiar and dear woman's voice. It was his beloved wife, Nicole. More than anything in the world, he wanted to see her, to embrace her, to rejoice that he was alive. When he opened his eyes, he noticed that the room was empty. Around the bed stood some medical equipment from which wires and tubes ran to the body. The door to the corridor was ajar, and it was from there that his wife's voice came. She spoke softly, but the man heard the words clearly. Apparently, Nicole was somewhere nearby. "And when will I be able to re-register his property to myself?" heard Logan, and could not understand what and with whom she was talking. "He's unfortunately still alive," heard Logan, an unfamiliar male voice, and he became even more confused, and the tension made a noise in his head. "Well, is there any other way to get the money quicker?" continued the woman, and it gradually began to come to Logan's mind that she was talking about him, and most likely she had decided to embezzle his property. Logan tried to swallow the lump that came up, but his throat was dry. He wanted to take a sip of water, but he was in no condition to get up on his own, and he couldn't ask anyone. "When can I see you again? I miss you so much." "I'm waiting finally to stop dreading his return," said Nicole with a smile in her voice. Hearing this, Logan had definitely decided that he would not give away his miraculous return. Footsteps were heard down the corridor. Someone approached. "Tell me how long he has left to suffer," asked Nicole, and in her voice, Logan heard tears and sobs. "Have faith in the best," replied the woman sharply, with a hint of reproach. "And don't stand there, please. You will be informed of any changes." "Please call me right away," asked Nicole, and the familiar clatter of heels could be heard. The stranger woman entered the ward and began to press some buttons on the machine next to Logan. "She would bury him alive," she muttered through her teeth, "but he'll live," out of spite of her wishes. Logan tried to say something, but his tongue stuck to his palate, and instead of words, he made only a strange sound and opened his eyes. The woman turned to him, and a smile graced her face. "Which was to be proved," she said, and went off somewhere, then returned with her colleagues, who took a long time to examine the man and discuss something. Before they left, Logan pulled himself together and whispered, though every word was painful and uncomfortable, "Don't tell my wife, please." "All right, we won't," replied Dr. Morris, who found him awake first. "And, by the way, with great pleasure, don't worry, you'd better keep quiet for now. We won't tell. We understand everything you're saying." The doctors left, and Logan heard Dr. Morris say in a whisper to her colleagues, "I wouldn't even allow wives like this one on the porch of the hospital. She was just dreaming of hearing that she was widowed as soon as possible. How the earth carries such people. I would pray all day long for my man to live, and she only thinks about inheritance." Logan kept thinking about his wife's words, how she could have an affair with someone behind his back. He has always lived for the family. He did everything to make her happy. He never restricted his wife's finances. He let her live as she wanted, and now, when he had an accident, she was not upset in the slightest. She was even happy and thought of schemes how to take over his property. Logan was disgusted at the thought. He wanted to go home and tell her that she was wrong, that he had come to his consciousness, and now she would not get a penny in the divorce. A few days passed, and the man began to feel better. "Well, how are you doing?" entered Dr. Morris. Logan smiled at her and replied that he felt wonderful. "Great. Look, I can't keep it from your wife for long that you've come to your senses. Tomorrow, you'll be transferred to a regular ward, and then—" "I see your point," interrupted Logan. "Well, I'll have to face her, though I'm not ready for a scandal just yet. You see, when I came to my senses, I heard her—" Logan stopped talking because a clenching lump of resentment came to his throat. Dr. Morris took him by the hand and looked intently at him, saying that she had heard everything too and understood perfectly well how upsetting it was for Logan. Yes, very much so. But it doesn't matter anymore. I'll file for divorce as soon as I get back on my feet. In the meantime, Nicole couldn't wait to hear that it was over and that she was now a widow. But out of spite, no one called from the hospital. Then she couldn't stand it and went there herself. I'd like to know how my husband Logan Butler is feeling. Butler. The elderly nurse began to look in the journal. He's gone today. Oh, Nicole rejoiced, and suppressing a smile and pretending to be a grieving woman, hurried away. He's gone today because he's been transferred to therapy, the nurse added. But Nicole could no longer hear her words. Logan stood by the window and looked at his wife, who was getting into the parked SUV with a big smile on her face. She was saying something on the phone, and everything inside Logan was boiling over. Deciding it was time to look into her eyes, Logan hurried to the doctor's office. I have to go home, he declared. The doctor, who was treating him now, frowned. Are you serious? You were transferred from the intensive care unit yesterday, and you're running off somewhere now. You see, this case is time sensitive. I won't stay here until it's done. I promise I'll be back as soon as I get it sorted out. Let me sign necessary papers. I'll go anyway. I'll run away if you don't let me go. After signing the necessary papers, Logan hailed a cab and drove off. When he entered the house, he saw an unfamiliar man walking around the living room in just his underwear. Let's get rid of this fireplace and put a great sound system in its place, he said excitedly. I'm sorry to interrupt your idyll, said Logan as he entered the living room. Nicole went instantly pale. She was shocked, as if she had seen a ghost. That thought must have been running around in her mind at the moment. Logan, oh, how can you be here? Was all she could ask. Shut up, he replied squeamishly. You have 10 minutes to grab your stuff and leave, because my guards are coming here soon and will kick you out if you don't hurry. Logan, I thought you were gone. I didn't know how to cope with grief. Nicole began to sob pretentiously, not wanting to lose the money that was promised by marriage. And you immediately found a replacement for me, smirked Logan. Get out, Nicole. The words of Dr. Morris suddenly flashed in his mind. I would pray all day long for my man to live, and Logan felt deeply grateful to her. After all, not every doctor has so much faith that his patient will recover. If it were not for her, perhaps Nicole would have even been paid to help him get to the other world as quickly as possible. The thought made Logan to cringe because he wanted to spend the rest of his days with his wife and dreamed of the day when she would give birth to his child. Nicole was rebuking her husband as the guards escorted her and her lover out of the gates of the house. But Logan was untouched by her words. Love had disappeared like an inscription on the seashore. Logan called in specialists who changed all the locks in the house in a couple of hours and asked the guards to keep an eye on the house while he would be healed. Back at the hospital, as promised, the man tried not to think about how much one accident had changed his life. During the couple of weeks while Logan was in the hospital, Dr. Morris visited him several times to check on his health. She and Logan chatted about everything, and it helped get rid of the bad thoughts. After he was discharged, Logan got busy with the divorce proceedings. As he had expected, Nicole began to claim her share of the property acquired during the marriage. But in addition to the property, Logan had taken out a large business development loan, and the loan would have to be divided as well. This is why Nicole agreed to sign a document renouncing her share of the property. She got the divorce, she cursed Logan, and said words that a person would never utter in their right mind. But Logan paid no attention to her. Instantly, the woman was nothing to him. After a while, Logan realized that he missed Dr. Morris and wanted to see her. Besides, he didn't even have time to thank her for helping him to survive. He bought the bouquet and headed to the hospital, figuring it would be her shift. But the nurse told him that Dr. Sylvia Morris was in a complicated operation. Logan sat down in the corridor, deciding to wait. After a couple of hours, the exhausted woman came out to him and sat down nearby. What happened? Asked Logan. A severe case, but we were able to save the man, said Sylvia with relief. And is this for me? She asked, looking at the flowers. Sorry, Probably I lost my social skills with women. Of course, for you. I wanted to ask you out, but if you don't agree, I won't be offended, said Logan, giving the bouquet to Sylvia. I agree, said Sylvia with a smile. My shift ends in an hour. A walk will be the best rehabilitation after such an operation, and it's good for you too, to spend more time in the fresh air. Logan smiled at this beautiful woman, whom he was willing to wait as long as necessary.